Being our WHOW WEZC Lincoln Printers Business of the Month. Nominate a business you'd like featured by emailing us at whow@randyradio.com.
Congratulations to this local business for all they do for the community. And don't forget, for envelopes, wedding invitations, signs, banner wraps, and more, go to LincolnPrintersInc.com.
Your friend in Central Illinois. WHOW.
Top of the morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. My guest on the Zoom call today, Terri Miller-Casey, Extension Director for the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Good morning, Terri. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Seth.
Yeah, thanks for making time for us as always. I know you're a busy lady these days. A lot going on within Extension. And Terri, a topic that we're going to start with today is rather timely because from Clinton to Lincoln to Monticello, I am hearing this in our listening area like crazy. Solar companies are looking to develop in the little communities of central Illinois. I guess little is relative, but when you're talking about the three I just mentioned, but still, they're looking to develop in communities like the ones I just mentioned, and the Extension is offering a program maybe to help those municipalities in how they can still develop those solar farms and maybe keep the impact on the community's visual look to a minimum. Let's start there. What do you have for us today, Terri?
Well, yeah, we know that everywhere you look, you see solar projects going up all across, not just the state of Illinois, but across the country. And so we know that that helps us get more energy independence, and it provides more local production of energy. But we also know that land use is a very important issue as well. And saying, how can we take these two things, the desire to have local production of energy and have more local energy production, and how can we also look for ways to not overly impact our land use. And so there are some communities around the state of Illinois who've taken some interesting and novel approaches. And so this program on Tuesday, March 25th, it is a webinar, so people can join in from noon to 1. This is an opportunity for people who care in their community. Maybe maybe you're on the city council, or maybe you're a city planner, or you're just an interested person in your community. This is a way to learn more about some of these other projects that's been done around the state that have looked at ways to create that energy and the economic benefits to creating energy locally, but also looking at how can we minimize the impact that we have and on our lands, and being just a little bit more thoughtful about where we're putting them. And so the program's actually called From Parking Lots to Landfills, Solar Projects That Empower Your Community. And again, that webinar, it's free. It's on Tuesday, March 25th from noon to 1. You can sign up on our website to participate in it. It's open to anyone who's interested in learning more about communities, like what some examples are City of Decatur, Steelville, City of Urbana. There's also going to be folks from Great Plains Institute and the Prairie Rivers Network that talk about funding opportunities for these. So one of them in Urbana, they took an old landfill and they made a community solar project. So it's providing local power, it's benefiting the community, but it's over an old landfill, which was, it obviously has restricted use now, but it's a great way to kind of reclaim the usefulness of that area. Others have done it over parking lots, like in Decatur, which is taking advantage of space, dual purpose use for that space. And I've seen pictures of that on the internet. It's really cool. So I think this is a great opportunity for communities around the area to learn about how they can do a community solar project, and then also kind of reclaim some of these spaces that maybe are underutilized.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know, particularly here in Clinton, one thing they're talking about is having to annex a part of just outside of city limits into city limits for the development of one of these projects. And so, I know that, and for, residents that are around these projects, some may be for it, some are not. And for the reason they're not, they may say, I don't really want to look at this. And if, you're talking about places where perhaps there's not as much residential development, perhaps that's a good alternative, like you're talking about there, Terri.
Yeah, I think again it's a balance and an understanding that there's lots of needs, and so you have to take into consideration when you're placing these things the needs of the people around, and also how they, how it impacts their again visuals or other things. And I think looking at some of these spaces that maybe aren't already residential, aren't going to be, or are already like in a place of, in the case of parking lot, well, it's already a parking lot. So maybe putting those solar panels on top of it is a good way to, again, make dual use of it. And heck, why not shade that car on a hot sunny day?
Exactly. Well, Terri, one more time, give us the when, the where, and how folks get information about this upcoming webinar.
Absolutely. Again, it's a webinar. It's free. It's on March 25th, which is a Tuesday from noon to 1. Anyone who's interested in learning more, please sign up for this. I think there'll be a lot of good information, and you'll get connected with folks not only about placement, but also about how communities can help fund some of these projects.
A couple of things to piggyback on that, Terri, just real fast. What does a webinar look like in terms of the extension service? How do you host it? When someone gets signed up for this event, what can they anticipate in terms of like the layout? Is it a Zoom call like we're on this morning? I guess what's it look like, if you don't mind giving us a visual of that?
No, absolutely. It's a lot like the Zoom call. We do most of ours through the Zoom platform because it's so well used, and we know it so well. Usually you have a speaker on camera, just like I am right now. They'll often have a presentation, a slideshow slide deck they can throw up there and people can see. And then the participants can also choose to be visual. Some people, they turn their camera off because they don't want to be on camera. Other people, they like to be a part of that and you can see the faces. There's opportunities always for question and answer afterwards so that people can ask the experts that are speaking questions. They can type it into the chat box. It's quite interactive, even though it isn't necessarily in person. We try to keep it as personal as possible. We try to have as much interaction with the folks who are joining us as we can.
Sure, very good. And one other thing, I know many webinars do get archived where folks can go back and watch or listen. I venture a guess, even if there are community leaders or even just residents of certain communities that might be interested in this, they may not be able to make that time you're talking about, Terri. Is this going to be archived where they can go back and look?
Yeah, we record these so they can be viewed again and asynchronous, as we call it, on your own time. What I always encourage people to do is if they think that, hey, I can't make it, it's at noon, I've got stuff going on, or it's at 2:00, I can't do that. Please go ahead and register anyway for the event. Because then you will get links. You'll get links to the data, you'll get links to information. Now, the only caveat to that is sometimes some of ours have like a registration limitation. Mm-hmm. And so maybe they could limit it to 50 people. If that happens, I would say don't register for it if you don't think you're going to come because you wouldn't want to take a slot. But there's always a link to the person who is managing this mm-hmm. and who is coordinating this. In this mm-hmm. case, there's a link right on the page. So if you can't come, you can't make it, but you have interest in that information, or maybe you went to the webinar and now you'd like some more information too, you can always contact that person who is coordinating it, and they'll be happy to get you information and hook you up with recordings or connect you with speakers that were at the event.
Excuse me. Very good. So again, Terri, I'm sorry. One more time on that one, that solar development webinar and how folks get information.
Yes, it is March 25th, noon to 1, and you can go to our website and sign up for it. Again, absolutely free of charge. You can go to extension.illinois, all spelled out, .edu/LMS. And if you go to the events tab, you'll find it there. Easy enough.
Terri Miller-Casey, Extension Director for the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Now, kind of on the lines of sustainability there, Terri, also have a webinar coming up about just sustaining small communities. Let's dive into this one. What's it all about?
Oh, this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. Somebody who's, born and raised in a small place, and I visited many of the great cities, and I love the cities, but I'm a small town girl at heart. So this is about how do we create a stronger, more sustainable rural economy to help more of our small towns kind of get through. We know that small towns have been in distress, and rural areas have been in distress for a long time, as we've seen economies change and businesses have moved out and industries have moved out. And so this webinar is all for those communities that to say, how do we get through these hardships due to either population decline, budget cuts, sometimes that, there's just a loss of optimism too, right? They're kind of, you can get into that mindset of, well, what can we do about it? Well, this workshop's going to discover what other people have done, other rural communities who've maybe turned some things around, who created some new energy, who are bringing people, keeping people, retaining folks, bringing folks into their community. And what did they do? And how have they managed to survive and thrive, even with all these challenges that I just mentioned? Mm-hmm. And so this webinar is on Thursday, March 27th from noon to 1. Again, it's online, so anyone can join. It's free of charge. And here you're going to kind of hear from a panelist, a group of folks who have worked in small towns and managed to kind of turn it around. They look at innovation as a big key piece of it, a youth engagement, which ties into us in 4-H too, because we really believe that keeping your youth engaged in your communities and them having a piece, a place, a stake in the game helps keep them in your communities. It helps them want to come back if they've went to school or start a business like my daughter did in a small town. It helps connect them. So we know youth engagement's really important. Tourism, we've seen such a rise of agritourism and what I call small towning, where small towns have really taken advantage of folks who are wanting to go to places that are a little bit lower key, a little less expensive even, and just kind of more relaxing. So there's a way to tap into that. And then Susan Odom is the University of Illinois Extension Specialist who's going to be presenting this. And she's just a real great resource in this. And she has the 3 pillars of business development: retention, keeping our businesses in our small towns, expansion, growing them or bringing folks in, and then attraction, keeping people in our towns, getting folks to move in. And then she's going to help provide some tools that other small towns have used to help them thrive and succeed.
And it's interesting you say that, Terry, because, rural sustainability is a huge topic right now, particularly for school districts, as they, battle for those families to come in their community and establish roots and, attend their schools and those sorts of things. Those enrollment numbers, those individuals always watching those. Of course, economic development leaders, they're always looking for, attracting more people and how they do that through business development and things like that. So this, a couple of webinars we're talking about here, Terry, that are rather pertinent to a lot of our listening area, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. And so and when you said earlier, small is relative, right? Well, there are a lot of people in this, who would say that Decatur is small, right? And I think that's a big place, or Springfield. So, but these seem, I'm gonna tell you from listening to Susan's program in the past, even if you're from a bigger area, I think a lot of these same principles apply, and maybe rural is even the better, more broader term for it. But I think that we're at a pivotal point where you're seeing a generation of folks who are wanting to be more connected. They like smaller towns. They are digital nomads. They can, there's more remote work opportunities, so they have more opportunities to live in smaller places. They like walking down to the coffee shop and knowing the person who owns it. I think there's a great opportunity for our rural communities to really connect with the next generation. And you were talking about schools, Seth, and one of the things that I've noticed is when you look at the number of families, there aren't necessarily a large drop off in families. What it is family size has decreased. So when I was a kid, when there would be 3 or 4 kids in a family, now we're seeing 2 or 1. And so that's another challenge for our communities is we already know demographically there are less younger people. So that makes it all the more important for us to keep that really valuable asset of the youth in our communities. But also there's an opportunity to repatriate some folks. I know several friends of mine who went to college, left the area, have careers, and now they're looking to retire back home. And many of them find that really desirable. So I think that there's another side too. How do we look at those retirees who may be from our area and say, listen, we have a lot to offer here. You don't have to go to Florida or Phoenix or those places that are warmer. We offer a lot to folks here in the way of our communities.
Very good. So again, Terry, the when and where on that one and how folks get registered.
Absolutely. It's on Thursday, March 27th from noon to 1. And you can sign up again if you go to extension.illinois.edu/LMS. Go to our events tab and register.
Easy enough. Terry, let's break here. Come back with some more. Terri Miller-Casey, Extension Director for the U of I Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties, our guest on the Zoom. More to come with Terry on The Morning Show.
WHOW.
Let's check the opening numbers now at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network. A steady start with corn, beans, and Chicago wheat. May corn opening 4.59 3/4, down 1 1/4. July corn down 1 1/4, 4.68 3/4. New crop December 4.55. That's up a penny. May beans starting the day 10.18 1/4, up 2 3/4. July beans up 3, 10.32 1/4. November new crop 10.20, up a penny and a half. May Chicago wheat 5.73 1/4, up 4 3/4. July wheat up 4 3/4, 5.89 3/4, and September wheat 6.06, up 4 1/2. May bean meal 302.90, that's down $1.40, and May bean oil 42.47, up 37 cents. Opening numbers at the Chicago Board of Trade on this Tuesday morning. Jim Taylor, RFD Radio Network.
Good morning. I'm Helen McAlassie, and I'm running for mayor of Clinton. As mayor, I will bring my experience in managing a $9.2 million budget and negotiating benefits for over 100 employees to the job. My ability to work with families, law enforcement, and local and state leaders will be a benefit to our city. Clinton is a great city, and when we all work together, we can move Clinton forward together.
Paid for by Michelossi for mayor.
If the flu's got you down, the Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside Family Medicine can help you feel better fast. CEO Paul Skowron inviting you to make us your backup plan to better health. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
DeWittDailyNews.com is the area's leading local news source 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Get the latest local news, obituaries, police splatter, weather forecast, and more. Head to DeWittDailyNews.com to get the local information you need to know.
Your friend in Central Illinois, WHOW.
Once again, a good morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Seth Lawrence. The WHOW Morning Show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Terri Miller-Casey, Extension Director for the University of Illinois Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties. Terry, still a few minutes left with you here this morning. What else is kind of on your calendar? What's coming up there with Extension?
Yeah, we have a Lessons for Living webinar series coming up, and this is just good. I always call good old-fashioned home economics. Who couldn't use a little bit of that? So we've got 3 different classes coming up. On April 8th, it's Declutter Your Home and Your Finances, and that's at 2 p.m., a free webinar again. And then on May 15th, we have Honey and Health, Nature's Sweet Treat. So it's going to talk about honey. And something interesting I did not know, there are 320 varieties of honey. I didn't know there were varieties of honey. See,
really? Yeah. And 320 of them, no less.
Yeah, I'm like, I love working extension because I had no idea that was the case. So it's because it varies by color, odor, flavor, and then of course a lot of that flavor is dependent on the location. Obviously, because it gets from the local flowers and the bees source their local nectar. So very cool program. That's on May 15th. And again, it's at 10 a.m. And then we have Wellness in Nature, and that's on June 10th at 10 a.m. And that's really just about the benefits of getting out in nature. And hopefully by June 10th, it'll just be beautiful, and everyone will want to get out there and enjoy some of that beautiful early summer and spring. But it talks about just the mental and physical benefits from getting out in nature. And so again, that's our Lessons for Living webinar series, Declutter Your Home, April 8th. Honey on May 15th, and Wellness in Nature on June 10th. And those are all at 10 a.m. and they're free, and you can register online.
All right, good stuff. Should be great information out of that one, I would think.
Yeah, I need the declutter thing.
Yes, I feel that too.
I have piles. I know what's in each pile strangely, like I can go right in and find it, but yeah, my life has kind of given over to little stacks of things.
I like to call that organized chaos, Terry.
Yeah,
That was my bedroom growing up. It was an organized mess.
when I was a kid, we used to, order the books through the Scholastics or whatever, and I used to have posters, and there was this poster of this room that was just an absolute mess, and it was titled was Organized Chaos, and so my mom bought me that poster because the poster in my room looked pretty much the same.
That's funny. That is funny.
It was a hint.
Yes. Yep. Very good. Hey, Terry, about 2 minutes left with you here.
Yeah.
What did I miss this morning you want to put out there for us?
Yeah, we got our 4-H International Night coming up for all of our Logan, Menard, and Sangamon 4-Hers. That's a fun night. It's on April 22nd from 6 to 8 p.m. And that's at the Williamsville Village Hall. And really anyone from the public can come and see either whole groups of kids do it or individuals. They pick countries and they talk about them and they help spread that information. And so kids can feel like they've toured the world. So again, that's April 22nd. From 6 to 8 at Williamsville Village Hall. And we just encourage folks to come if they want to learn about the world.
Very good. So put those things on the calendar. What's going on in 4-H in the world of Logan, Sangamon, and Menard counties there, Terry? How are the kids doing these days?
Oh, they're doing great. Enrollment's been great. Lots of great projects. Kids are already registering. Believe it or not, they're registering all their projects. And the next step will be registering for the fair. I know that seems crazy, but it's right up on us. And then on Saturday, April 26th, they're going to have their 4-H National Day of Service. So 4-Hers across the country on Saturday, April 26th are going to be out there in the communities doing volunteer work, cleaning things up, collecting food for food banks, just doing all kinds of amazing community work.
Very good. So a lot of things around the corner there in the world of 4-H. Terry, remind us, how do we learn more about all things, whether it's extension, whether it's 4-H in your 3-county area? Where do we go? How do we find out more?
Absolutely. You can always call the Springfield office at 217-782-4617, or you can visit us online at extension.illinois.edu/LMS. We are always here to serve you. If you ever have any questions, that's what we're here for. We're here to help.
Easy enough. Terry, always good to see you. Thanks for making time for us.
Oh, thanks so much, Seth. It's always a joy.
Terri Miller-Casey, Extension Director, U of I Extension in Logan, Menard, and Sangamon counties on the Zoom with us today. The morning show streams to Facebook and YouTube, brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. Facebook and YouTube is where you can find a live stream of just about every morning show interview and our morning news and sportscasts as well. And, of course, we stream live online all the time at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news comes your way now on the morning show.